Hi Neil, we're back with another theory, and today we'll be talking about a fairly topical one. Is Crowley Malleus' dad? Now, there's gonna be a lot of JP spoilers. I'm gonna try and keep it to a minimum, but since Ian isn't caught up to JP and the more recent JP chapters are crucial to this theory, there's gonna be some unavoidable spoilers. This theory isn't, too complex, honestly. It's just the idea that Malleus' father, Raverne, who went missing during the war between humans and fairies, is actually Crowley. People started talking about this theory when chapter 4 or 5 of book 7 dropped. However, I personally think it has deeper roots than that. I remember a while ago there was a small theory going around that maybe Crowley was Malleus from the future. It low-key played into the time loop theory, but the idea was that they were the same person. And a lot of points in that theory also apply to the Crowley as Raverne theory, which is why I think this theory really started with the Crowley as Malleus idea. I think the Crowley as Raverne theory would have existed either way, but because there was already a theory talking about Crowley's potential true identity in relation to Malleus, I think it spread faster than if the Crowley as Malleus theory hadn't existed. The first person I could find in the overseas fandom that talked about Crowley and Malleus being the same person was Reddit user Kashido. They made a post about the Crowley as Malleus theory on August 5th, 2020. However, I don't know if they were truly the first person, but this is the earliest I could find English post-wise. This theory isn't really snappy like Trader Ace theory, so, yeah, no fun hashtag to do a deep dive with. As for Crowley being Raverne, I know I saw my friend Ray talking about it hours after, I think it was chapter 4 dropped? It was chapter 4 or chapter 5. As soon as people learned Raverne was missing, I think a lot of people started connecting dots really fast as soon as Lilia started talking about Raverne. So, what's our evidence? First off, we can't know for sure if Raverne is dead. He's simply gone missing and we haven't seen a body. He's presumed dead, but it's possible he's not actually dead. Next, Malleus and Crowley have quite a few similarities design-wise. Same-ish skin tone, pointed ears. If it's not makeup, their lips look similar. It could be makeup, I don't know. Crowley's hair color also isn't super far off from Malleus's, although we know Malleus inherited his hair color from his mama, Meleanor. Another piece of evidence is his name. Now, I'm saying Raverne because as of now, that's how the fandom has romanized it. In truth, we don't know what his name is going to be in English. It could be Laban, or Raban, or Ravon. Japanese doesn't have a V sound natively, so one of the ways to write that sound is a B sound. But regardless, all of those names are suspiciously close to Raven, which is a type of bird like a crow, and Crowley is clearly some kind of bird fae. Yana Toboso does a lot of puns, and she's said in the past that she's lazy with names, quotation marks, but this means the names she picks end up heavily reflecting the character. And isn't it strange to have, assumedly two names so similar in vibes? They're both bird names. Leona's name has a pun, albeit it only works in Japanese, but who's to say Raverne isn't just another pun that only works in Japanese? Watch, I'm saying this and then, they're gonna be oh, his name is Raverne! Watch, that's gonna happen. That happened with Ball. For people who don't know, everyone was calling Sebek's grandfather Ball, but then it turned out that it's actually Bar. Bar, yeah, that's what it is. So people were uh-oh. Watch, it's gonna be Raverne. Watch, it's gonna be Raverne. I'm gonna be so fucking mad if that happens. Anyways, it could be a punny name. That's the thing. People who subscribe to this theory point out how weird it is that Lilia's acceptance letter to Night Raven College somehow got put into the Royal Archives. He had no emotional attachment to it and constantly told Sebek, Silver, Grimm, and you that he wasn't gonna go when they were all hanging out in Lilia's dream. He didn't even know that it had gotten saved. So, how was it saved? People suppose that Raverne saved it maybe in hopes of seeing Lilia again? I don't know if people really think that last part, but that's the only way I could see why Raverne would have saved the acceptance letter. Raverne and Lilia were besties, and while Crowley is honestly kind of a dick to most of the students, during Lilia's farewell party, he actually seems really nice to Lilia. This could be a holdover from when they were best friends. Speaking of Lilia, he tells us that Raverne was an extremely kind person, and what's Crowley's catchphrase? Aren't I so kind? It gets translated a lot of different ways in the English version, but in the Japanese version, it's very consistently yasashi no de, which means aren't I so kind? It's honestly kind of a strange coincidence that Lilia says Raverne is super kind, and Crowley has that as a catchphrase. Another point is that we don't know Crowley's age nor his homeland, so it must be important. And there's something to be said that the only other two characters that don't have their age listed are Lilia and Malleus, two fae from Briar Valley. And also, why is he masked? Why does he feel the need to conceal his identity? Why is he afraid of being recognized? Is it because he was a prince at one point and would get easily recognized? Not to mention, he also has the glowing eyes thing going on with his mask, just like Lilia and Bar do. I've seen other points, but these are the ones that most people seem to agree on and others vary. I'm not going to include other people's points because 1, I hate using other people's work. It already drives me nuts that attribution for these videos is near impossible. And 2, because I give evidence against, I don't want people thinking I'm singling them out by correcting them or just saying contrary things. I'm a small creator, I'm far from a BNF, but I have an audience and I don't want people feeling singled out or like I'm going after them over a harmless theory, especially with this particular theory, but I'll elaborate on that at the end. So what's our evidence against Crowley being Laverne? For starters, while I agree we don't know for sure if Laverne is dead, I feel like the game is very much implying he is. And also, like, we didn't see Meleanor die. If we're using the no body equals alive logic, then Meleanor could be alive too, and we know she's not. I know some people might want to argue that it's different because we see the storm dissipate, so Melly must have died, but she could have ran out of magic. All I'm saying is that while I think not taking the game at its word all the time is fair, and probably should be done, I just see it as wishful thinking. I can't deny that they look similar, I honestly can't. So for names, although we can guess he has a punny name, we don't know what type of fae Laverne was. The game only says that he is an aristocrat and that's it. We know he either doesn't have horns or his horns don't look like Meleanor's because Lilia says Malleus's horns look like Melly's. Not to mention, although it's rare, not every name in the game is meaningful. Moses Train. What does that say about him? Eliza, Dila, Maria, do those names have meaning? Not really. Laverne could be in that camp. We don't know if Laverne was the one who saved the letter either. It could have been Meleanor that did it, or Militia, or some random servant that thought it might be important. I don't think there's any significant evidence to suggest it was Laverne who did it. Lilia just found out it was in the archives, that's all we really know. Yes, Laverne could have done it, but there was nothing pointing to him specifically. And, oh my god. I could have sworn that there was a scene where Lilia did, like, actually find the letter in the archives. I could not find it at all in the game, so maybe I hallucinated it. But, as of now, as far as I know, there's nothing really elaborating on, like, Lilia finding it or any, like, clues. We just don't know who put it in there. We just don't. We also don't know if Crowley's mask is related to this. Yeah, it's really weird he wants his face concealed, but is this a case of he's hiding his true identity, or he's hiding something on his face? There's a theory that he's overblotted yet somehow remained coherent. It could be he's hiding the overblot markings on his face. This would also require Crowley to be intentionally hiding his identity. If he had amnesia or something about who he truly was, he wouldn't need to wear the mask. And if he remembers who he is and this is him intentionally hiding his identity, why? And I think this brings a huge question into frame. Why did he not return to Briar Valley after the war? He knew he had a son who needed him. What happened to prevent him from returning? And why would he be putzing around Night Raven College instead of returning to Briar Valley? The main problem with the Crowley is Laverne theory is that I think a lot of the evidence that there is circumstantial, and for the most part, we don't have enough solid evidence. Truthfully, I have a like-hate relationship with this theory. I don't usually try to interject my own feelings into my Explaining X Theory videos because I want you guys to make your own conclusions. And I still do. You shouldn't take me as the final word. I'm just some bitch with a Malleus Draconia obsession. But the evidence we have so far for Crowley being Laverne is shaky at best, in my opinion. Maybe it's just too early for this. Maybe this is true, but Yana's just laying the foundation, and that's why the evidence feels circumstantial. Because it's not the actual pieces of evidence, it's just the appetizer. I think Crowley is unrelated to Malleus, and he's gonna have his own skeletons in the closet we explore later. But on the other hand, one of my favorite theories I've thought of in a while works off of the idea Crowley is Laverne, or at least having a dead loved one. And also, like, this is a twist I could see Yana pulling. After all, we got a surprise twin in Black Butler. It feels Yana-core to pull out something like this. Maybe I'll make a follow-up to this when we get more information. Frankly, I don't know. I would have waited to make this video, but with Chapter 7 being unpredictable, I figured I should put it out as soon as possible to try and avoid the moment this theory is confirmed or denied, and then I can't make a video at all. I'm writing this before I release part 2 of the Traitor Ace theory, so I don't know if y'all said if you like two-parters or not, although that doesn't really matter because I turned the comments off because I felt like it was a failure of a video. And that's why I had a mental breakdown before I dropped it, and that's why the comments are off, because I had a mental breakdown. But anyway, I'm gonna do a part 2 for this one, sort of. I'm doing a part 2, sort of. I'm doing a silly part 2 where I calculate how much money Crowley would owe in child support to Militia for raising his son for him. God, saying that out loud makes me realize how goofy that is. Honestly, I wanted to do that since the Crowley's Lavon theory started getting talked about, because I think it's funny. I think it's genuinely funny. If you're a channel member, that video is already up for you to watch. You guys probably saw it a long time ago and were like, what the hell? But I hope it made you laugh. For everyone else, the child support video will drop in a week. For the 2 of you that are interested. Anyway. I love it, just the super serious theory of, like, I don't think this has a lot to stand on, then, like, but what if he owed child support? Oh my god. I love my job. I love my job so much. But yeah, I'll see you guys at some other point in the future, and I hope until then, y'all take it easy, but you do take it, and also stay hydrated. It's getting warm outside. And hydration good. Hydrate or dihydrate. But yeah, bye everybody! Thank you everyone for watching, and a very special thank you to my channel members and Twitch subs. Your support helps me to continue to make these videos. If you'd like early access to my videos, consider becoming a channel member. Patrons and Ko-fi members can get my scripts early before I record them. I livestream over on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Thanks again guys, and I'll see y'all later.